Welcome to the Better Agent Podcast. If you're a real estate agent that's looking to grow your business, then you're in the right place. Whether you want to go from 5 to 10 transactions a year, or 10 to 50 transactions per year, or more, well then this show is for you. I'm Josh Lavik, your host for the Better Agent Podcast, and in each episode, we'll bring you the tools, tips, and tricks directly from myself and some of the best leaders within the real estate industry. We have one goal in mind, and that's to boost your production and elevate your real estate game. Let's dive in and start creating a better real estate experience together.
Welcome back to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, and I am launching this podcast today and every week or two to agents out there that want to grow their business from, where they are to a higher level. So whether you're doing 5 transactions, want to go to 10, or you're doing 10, want to go to 20, or maybe even 30 or 40, even up to 50 transactions or more. You know what? This podcast is for you. I'm here to share some of my insight over the last 19 years that I've been in the business, and also bring on some wonderful guests that can also share some of their insight and leaders within the real estate industry. So today I've got an exceptional guest. This person has been in my world and worked with me for the last 9 years. Her name is Julie Burke, and she is our transaction coordinator, marketing assistant, director of operations, and does lots of different things. So I'll just let Julie say a few words to introduce herself and share a little bit more about her story.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be on, Josh. I've been with you through the entire process. So I started with Josh back in 2016, and I was going through a lot in my life. I was getting ready to graduate as a mid-aged adult from college with my bachelor's degree in human resources. My background kind of leaned towards construction, call center, customer service. So when I started for Josh was very big on goals, and he decided that he was going to push me really hard to get me to set a goal that expanded past a week or a month, that it went a little bit deeper than that. And so I did. And it wasn't necessarily overly serious, but it became serious. And that was to double his business in 5 years. And then we did it. So we set a goal and we achieved it. And you were absolutely a big part of that. And, I remember clearly where we were at that time, and we didn't have nearly as many systems, checklists, processes as we do today. And, you've been a big part of that and helping create that, refine that, share that. And I think that what comes to mind is I think a lot of agents know that they need systems and processes, and they need a checklist, and they need to follow things. But, I didn't have all those things in place when you came on board. What would you say to about that, or to agents that maybe don't have their systems where they need to be or should be? Well, I think the biggest thing that I noticed in the first probably 6 months of working with you is that you were doing everything. So you were going from admin to marketing to showing assistant to team lead to listing agent to buyer's agent, writing offers, presenting offers. Plus you're a husband, and you were a brand new dad to twins. Like, you had a lot going on in your world. You had 3 little boys at home. And so I just really noticed very quickly that you were doing everything. And one of the trainings that you had taken me to very early posed a question. And I remember very clearly you and I having some rather in-depth discussions about it, of if we're providing a better real estate experience, and that's our mission, is to provide that better real estate experience, how can we get to our clients before they get to us? How can we answer that question before they ask the question, so that their questions truly are in-depth questions that they know they either need to field them to Josh as my agent, or Julie, who's the TC and handling all the other stuff. And so just really defining some of the things, and that's where the checklist got refined, and the systems got refined, and the processes got refined to eliminate those phone calls and kind of give that customer service up front, instead of waiting for the customer or client to always call, because they always call the agent.
Yeah. No, I've received many of those calls, right? Agents don't know what, or customers, don't know what is happening next, right? We are we're the agents, we're the professionals, right? I'm in this business every single day. Most people don't move very often, right? They don't buy or sell a home I think the average is 7 to 10 years, something like that. Probably longer after COVID, actually. People are staying in their homes even longer. So, they don't go through this process. So getting the right information, getting it out there in a timely manner, and helping our clients and educating our clients what's going to happen next at each stage of that process is absolutely helpful and integral. And I think, I'm a big systems guy as well, and I have a template for just about everything, right? If I've gotten the question more than once, guess what? There's a template for that. And there should be, right? Because there should be some consistency in how I'm following up with and treating my clients and customers. And I know if I just hope to wing it and just, I'm just going to go from the hip and, I think I know what to say. Well, then I'm not as thoughtful, and I'm not as present for that customer as I could be. And so if I could slow down enough to build a template, to build a system, to build a creation and a consistent process, that's how we can deliver on our mission of having high quality service all the time, delivering on our mission to provide a better real estate experience, right? It gets better and better each time because we're continuing along a similar path, right? We've been down this path before. Let's do it again, and let's do it again. So.
Well, and I think it's very easy for especially individual agents and agents on a team, to kind of get it stuck in their heads that, well, I can write it better. It doesn't sound like me. I can type it better. And that works. It absolutely works when you have one client or maybe 2 or 3. But when you start juggling, 10 or 15 transactions that are all handling at the same time, plus going as the agent, you're going out on more appointments, trying to keep that all in line and not let something slip through the cracks, because it's the one time you let it slip through the cracks that it's not pleasant. And it's not pleasant for anybody. It's not pleasant for the person that might receive the phone call. And it's really not pleasant for the person who made the phone call, because they shouldn't have had to make it to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I remember early on, when I started in this business, I didn't have a team. I didn't have an assistant. I didn't have any administrative help. I was doing everything, and I was just kind of used to doing that. And I think it was actually, I had hired somebody prior to you joining our team. We had somebody else in that role, but I remember, I think that was, it might have been 2010 or 2011. I think that first year that I had hired them full-time. This was my first full-time administrative assistant person. And I was scared. I was scared to death, right? Because as an agent, I'm a commissioned salesperson. I don't get paid unless I have a sale, unless I have a closing. And there is no money, there's no revenue. And now suddenly I'm going to hire somebody that's an employee, that's a W-2, salaried employee or hourly employee, whatever it might be. And I was terrified. Would I have enough work for this person? Would I be able to do this? But I think I remember clearly that I had saved up some money. I'd had a few closings, and I just decided, I've got enough saved up that, I can make it up at least a few months. And if it didn't work out, I could always go backwards, but I think it'll work out. And it absolutely worked out, because my business grew over probably 50% that year. Okay. And I wasn't working double the amount of hours or anything crazy. I was just able to segment the tasks and the duties in my brain, right? So instead of having to do everything, all of the transaction coordinating, all of the marketing, all of the everything, I could offload some of those tasks to, this other person. And then it made me that much more focused in my current role, my role as an agent, right? So, I was still obviously.
Well, absolutely. And it's when you're able to be what you want to be, which is an agent, which is going out there and helping people, showing homes, writing offers, negotiating, going to the closing, celebrating those wins, working through those struggles. That's why you want to become an agent. You don't become an agent because you want to do paperwork. The paperwork is the bog down. And, if you can just walk in and know that your dates are going to show up on your calendar, you don't have to worry about, did I miss the inspection deadline, or did I miss earnest money? Is it in? And start panicking and send out all kinds of emails, when you just know that, okay, we've got checklists and systems in place that where you can go to at 2:00 in the morning when you bounce out of bed and go, earnest money is due. And There it is. Yeah, it's been taken care of. But I think, in your hiring, and we've talked a lot about it, is, that hiring, you have to trust and that you're hiring the right person and that they're on board with you and that you're going down this path together. I think the other thing that kind of goes hand in hand with that is valuing what they're bringing to the table. If you think you can do it better than them, then don't hire them. If you think that they can help you do it better, then hire them. Respect them and respect what they do. They may not do what you do, but you don't do what they do. And when two people do things really well that aren't the same thing, but they're going down the same path together, they do amazing things, which it makes me think of the Admiral's speech. It's at Admiral McCraven. And the one thing that sticks out is, those processes and systems, scheduling, making sure you get into that rhythm and cadence, and the call of the coxswain. One person is out of line in rowing, there's going to be an issue, right? And these are Navy SEALs. These are big people that are on big missions doing big things, and we're selling real estate. The other thing that pops into my head about that video, so I'd highly suggest anybody watches that video, is very small accomplishments lead to big ones. And so very in the beginning, anybody who knows anybody in the military knows that they know how to make a bed. They know how to make a bed not because they want all the beds made. They make a bed because it's the very first accomplishment that every single soldier has in the morning. Every single soldier can say, I accomplished something first thing in the morning, and then move on. And that's where those systems and processes come into play, and then the follow through with those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some ways, it's a simple business, right? Our job, we're talking to people, we're consulting with people, we're advising people about their real estate, about what they want to do, and about buying a property or selling a property, what needs to be done to make that happen. I mean, it's a dialogue, it's a conversation. And so it's getting out there to have those conversations. And then also, we talk a lot about tracking, I know, on a weekly basis, and tracking kind of what we do. And, maybe it's as simple as making your bed in the morning, but what are some of those other pieces that you think are some of those core pieces that we do every day that you think really contribute, that really make a big difference? What are the small hinges that swing big doors, so to speak, right? What do you think those might be, or what comes to mind?
Well, the one thing that I noticed once we started putting more systems and processes into place 8-9 years ago was you could actually dedicate your time to being on the phone. Mm-hmm. And you could take that time and do it. And I could dedicate that same time to silence. Mm-hmm. That I wasn't going to really be interrupted because you were on the phone and everybody else was kind of doing their thing. And so being able to go, I've got X, Y, and Z checklists to go through. I have X, Y, and Z properties. I have a calendar. When we put everything into Google, making it one system. Yes, we have other systems. Our CRM is another system, but the majority of our communication is done through Google and Google Chat, and our meetings are done through Google Meet, making it really easy because it just becomes repetitive. And once it becomes repetitive, you just do it. And I think with every agent, every successful agent that I've talked to, is they have habits, they have rituals, and they have protected time. And for admin, TC, the back end, however you want to call it, is utilizing that time to be able to offer exactly what that agent is saying for the experience. And ours is a better real estate experience. So as I'm going through and I'm making the checklist and we have our meeting and we kind of recap on it, and Josh says, hey, I got a call from about blah, 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 blah. I'm immediately thinking, is that something I should put in the checklist? Mm-hmm. Like if I can eliminate another phone call for you, we're golden. Mm-hmm. Because the client feels that we're there. And so in hiring, kind of that next person, or even just getting your own systems and processes into place. But I will say I've seen the number one pitfall of new agents is spending way too much time in that, mm-hmm. Creating templates. Like you said, if you said it 2 or 3 times, you create the template. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly, in my opinion, when the template should get made is after you've done it 2 or 3 times, because Well, I'm saying it, but I'm probably saying it better the third time than I did the first time. And then putting it in writing, you also have the opportunity to tweak it again. So I think just in doing all of those things, you end up swinging that door open.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's coming to mind just as I'm hearing you talk about this, right, is almost the simplification of what we've been able to do, you know, and I think the longer we work together, the longer we've done this, we've tried to simplify, right, and streamline and not be too distracted, right? There's always, you know, the next phone call from the next vendor looking to sell you the next shiny object. I mean, I met with somebody yesterday, you know, about something, you know, do we want to do this? Do we want to sign up for that? Do we want to do that? Whatever. And it takes a lot of willpower to really just say, you know what, this is a simple thing, a simple business. I just need to streamline things into one system, you know, but also going deep on it, right? We have a ton of templates, but they're in our one CRM, right? So I know lots of agents that have a CRM, but they barely log into it. I mean, how often we are in there every single day. And if we're not, then something's wrong. Guess what? We don't have many appointments. So I think what I've noticed is we've really gone deep in our CRM, in our database, in our templates, in our shared drive, in our shared resources to really say, how can I simplify things and just work within this space rather than have, you know, a system for that or a system in that. And there's, you know, now I'm paying a monthly charge for all these different 10 systems. And it's like, I'm so distracted because, you know, I'm getting, you know, we know our phones, right? They go off every minute, right? Ding, ding, ding. You get all the notifications. But like when you got too many different systems, it's probably too many systems, right? What if we streamline the systems? Say, okay, if I had 1, 2, 3 key things that really move the needle, and if I just focus on my calendar and my daily habits, my daily tasks, my daily rituals, how much more effective are we? I mean, I know for sure for me, I can say that I'm way more effective if I'm just focused on a few key simple things every single day. So,
well, and I just watched a podcast that was exactly that. Success is simple. We make it complex. We add on all of these other things instead of just making it simple, and scheduling systems and processes is what makes it simple. But those systems and processes only work, number one, if you trust, value, and respect them. And number two, if you actually use them. There has to be follow-up to it. There has to be accountability to it. So whether you're on a team or whether you're an individual agent, is set up your accountability person, whether that's your spouse, whether that's your kid. If you decided, you know, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to stick to it, then stick to it. Because like you said, agents get, and I've watched it from the backside, you guys get distracted with every call about every new thing, about every new anything. And that's where I go back to stay in your lane. Do what you're good at. Be a really good agent and surround yourself with people who lift you up to let you do what you're really good at. And all of those other details, hire somebody that wants to do those details, that doesn't want to be an agent, that is okay working in the background.
Yeah, you know, that's totally what's coming to mind is actually one system. It's real simple. We've adopted a lot of things from this book called Traction by Gino Wickman. I mean, he talks a lot about this kind of visionary integrator leadership piece and component of a business, right? This isn't about real estate. This is about any business. And how do you create that sort of org chart and processes? And how do you systematically go about creating like a quarterly check-in or a weekly meeting? What are you supposed to talk about? How do you make your weekly meetings really good and effective? Well, we've adopted some things from that book. How do you stay in your lane? What should my lane be? How do I even know what that is? Well, a lot of things we've learned from that. We've learned from, obviously I've got other books on the shelf too, and I'm always picking up another one because that's just how I'm wired, right? I'm a curious person. I'm wired to just dive in and try to figure things out. And I bring things back all the time. And it's part of, I think, our weekly meetings even, or our quarterly meetings, where we do a deeper dive and really contribute to each other and value and respect each other enough to say, hey, let's focus on what's most important. How can we rise everything within the organization together?
and really focusing on the organization. Well, again, whether you're an individual agent or you're on a team, if you're running a business, you need to focus on that business. It's easy to allow the personal stuff to happen, but remembering that it is a business at the end of the day, and that you have a service to provide with your license. You have your duties, and that's the end of the day. And so what the client feels and ultimately feels, not even so much what they say, but how that client feels at the end of the day is what's truly, truly important. And if they walk away and they're happy with the outcome, because not every closing is happy, divorce, death, all kinds of other things, not every closing is happy, but if they are happy with the outcome and they're happy with the communication and they're happy with the process, then I know that we did our job, and I know that the process and the system does work. And we've seen it work a lot over the last 9 years.
Yeah, that would absolutely be the case. Yeah. Well, yeah, what else would you say to someone out there? Anything else that comes to mind about maybe things that we've done well or challenges and hurdles we've encountered along the way? And, what would you say, tips for things to avoid or watch out for, or anything else like that come to mind?
Well, the one thing that I've noticed in real estate is that you can either walk through it or you can give up. And not every situation is going to be comfortable. You're not going to like everything, whether it's with your broker or with your team or by yourself, right? You're not going to like everything. You're going to get in uncomfortable situations. You're going to have to ask questions. You don't know everything. You're not expected to. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. Walk through it. Keep going. New agents on our team, they can get stuck on script practice, right? It's hard. I don't know what to say. And you're not really a buyer. You're not really a seller. So it gets hard, but to walk through it, because when you're actually talking to those people and your clients, practicing that buyer consult, what does that look like? Is it just a 6-page document, or is it something that you're truly passionate about and that your client is going to feel that you have something to offer them of value? Because when you offer people value, they're attracted back to that. And I guess the biggest thing that I would say is, success is simple. So agents that are out there struggling, narrow it down. What are you struggling with? I mean, we've done time challenges where we've clicked the button every 15 minutes and written down what we're doing to notice what's being the time suck on you. And if you have something, is hire somebody. And whether it's a transaction, if it makes sense to just get the accepted offer and kind of hand it off and only worry about the main contingencies in there, like the inspection, testing, those types of things, is if that frees up your time, then do it. But you have to trust and value and respect the person that you hire is doing it and is offering you a valuable service. And when that all comes together, I think you end up seeing beautiful things, not only for yourself, but for your organization and most of all your clients.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's a good key point to consider. I know getting to that point where it can be scary to hire somebody, right? It can be scary, especially a full-time person. But I mean, I remember even early on, before I hired a full-time person, I did hire somebody just on a per transaction basis to help me with some of the paperwork. And if I could offload some things off of my plate, guess what? It's kind of like a little taste of that dessert, right? You take a little bit and you're like, oh, I kind of like that. And so then I took the next step and I hired the next person and brought the next person on. And so, it can be scary at first, especially for an agent that has never done that. They're used to doing everything and they maybe like doing everything, but also I think that concept that, nobody can do it as good as me is false. And that's a myth. And there's absolutely somebody out there that can do it as good or better than you. And that person should be doing it, honestly. I mean, that person should be doing that role on that place. And, and flip side, right? I mean, how comfortable would it be for you to negotiate hard contracts every day and make phone calls every day, trying to find a business, find a deal and that kind of thing? I mean, if that was you in that role every day, how would that make you feel?
Well, exactly. And that's where, it's that stay in your lane. But when you did hire me, it allowed you to actually take a vacation. You actually had a day off. You could actually not answer the phone for a day and decompress yourself and be a husband and just be Josh or be a dad or do whatever you needed to do. And as a solo agent, you don't get days off. And if you don't answer your phone, the next agent will. And so with that mentality, and that was always your mentality, is you were just always on. And through the systems and the processes and hiring people and putting people into place, it's allowed you to not only focus on what you excel at and what you love and what you're passionate about, but it also allows you to have the personal piece. So you hear a lot about that work-life balance, and in real estate, it's 99% work and the rest of it is life, where you can squeeze it in. Because we all know agents answer the phone at happy hours, they answer them at dinner, they answer them at parties, they answer them on date night, because they're always working. And when you hire people in that can take that thing off your plate, it allows you to have that, and that makes you a better person, which makes you a better agent, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it is my goal and intention to not work 24/7. Absolutely. And I couldn't, if I were to be taken out of Madison, which is where we're based, if I were to relocate to somewhere totally different in a brand new state, I would absolutely have an administrative helper for sure with me. And there would be some kind of leverage in place, because I am not doing it all. I'm not working 24/7. Hiring somebody is absolutely the way to go. Wholeheartedly believe in that, and having designated roles to stay in your lane, I think, is huge. The other thing that came up that I thought, I don't want to just gloss over, but is kind of that script practice, right? I mean, our job is, we're consultants, right? We talk to people all day on the phone, in person, right? We're having conversations. And if we aren't practicing those conversations, that means we are practicing on our clients, which is probably not good. Can you imagine like the Green Bay Packers going out and not having practice, and then going out on Sunday and hoping to like beat the Lions or the Bears, like with no practice? Let's get real here, right? They're not going to do that, right? They are a pro level NFL team, right? And if we expect to be pro level agents, real estate agents in this very competitive industry, then we absolutely need to practice. And we need to practice what to say it, how to consult people, how to give them good advice, whether it's buying a home, selling a home, giving that consultation, pricing analysis, all of it. How's the market? What's your script? Do you study it? Do you know it? Do you internalize it? Absolutely is essential, and something we still do every day. I mean, we still have our morning huddles, morning team meetings, and, maybe not every day we practice our scripts, but, at least once a week. I mean, it's on part of our agenda, and there's been times we'll have longer practice sessions where we need to do longer sessions practicing consultations to make sure that we are providing good service, good value. So.
Oh, absolutely. Because the one thing that I've always noticed with agents is the agents who practice, they can get through the conversation and they can get through, and it sounds very natural. And I guarantee you it was not natural the first time they said it. The first time they started talking real estate terms, like that wasn't normal and natural. No baby comes out like unless they were raised in it, right? If you're raised in it, it's a little bit different. But being able to practice those things, because the one thing that I've noticed is the people who don't practice, number one, get lost in the weeds, and they're not doing a business conversation, right? You should be in charge of that conversation, and at the end, you should know what's going on. You shouldn't hang up the phone and say, "Oh, well, what was the conversation about?" I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what's your next step? Well, I don't know. Now I feel really awkward about ever calling them back. So I just avoid them and don't. And they go to the next agent, has practiced their scripts and internalized them and made them normal and natural.
You said something there that triggered me, and it was next step. Next step. No, in a good way, right? Every single person that I talk to in our database that I meet with, every single person has a next step. What's the next thing that's going to happen? If I'm not meeting with them today, then is it next week? Is it next month? Is it 6 months from now? Is it a year from now? What is it? Okay. But every single person does have a next step. And if they don't, they should. And we are actively thinking about how do we better stay in touch with them at the right time, right? Because not everybody's making a move today. Not everybody's looking to buy or sell real estate today or tomorrow, but everybody is maybe a little curious about real estate, right? Most people are, even if they're not moving, you might be curious what your neighbor's home sold for. You might be curious what your home might be worth in today's market. You might be curious about what's going on in the market, about interest rates. And, you probably have a friend or a family member that might be moving. And so sometimes connecting them with the right person and the right professional, they would appreciate that.
Well, and that makes me immediately think of not being attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
Being able to have conversations with people and having a follow-up, even though they've told you you're moving out of the house in a pine box. It's great. You're not moving. It doesn't mean you can't follow up with them, because life happens and things change and people talk to people, and you never know where your next deal is going to come from. But if you've already said, oh, well, they're going out in a pine box, I'm never going to follow up with them. I don't care. They didn't seem interested at the open house, so they walked out the door and I didn't get a phone number or an email address. You lose those opportunities without that next step. You do it with your friends. You do it with your family, hang up with them. I'll talk to you soon. And you mean it. With your friends, hey, we got to get together soon. And then you set up dinner, happy hour, play date, whatever it is. It's the same thing with these clients, because that's what we do. We're here to help them, and we're here to serve them when they're ready, not when we're ready.
Yeah.
We always need to be ready.
Yeah. Man, that's something too, right? Not being attached to the outcome, but going every day and just making those connections, having those conversations, connecting with people, giving them some kind of value in the conversation. How can I contribute to them in a meaningful way that maybe isn't about selling real estate, but it's finding ways to just connect with them as a person? And so I think deep down, that's what we're all craving, is some of that connection piece. It's easy to get lost, right, on our endless scroll these days and all the different apps. But I think at the heart of that, people crave connection, and they want to be in that relationship and have a dialogue and share about what's meaningful and what's going on. And so I think if we can lean into that without being attached to a sale or an outcome, I think makes it easier to get up and go to work every day and make more calls, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And if you're showing up with the right mindset and helping add value to people's lives, guess what? Those opportunities, those will absolutely show up for you. So, and
they really in great in your life. Like over the last almost 20 years, Josh, how many of your clients have become dear friends? And how many of your dear friends up to the time you started real estate became your clients?
Yeah. Oh yeah, lots of them for sure. We just hosted a holiday party in our office. We had lots of past clients and friends come by, and it was great to see all of them. So I'm grateful for that opportunity and grateful for them, enriching my life as that opportunity as well. So no, it's been rewarding for sure. So,
and I think that's the not being attached to the outcome, but setting goals, putting systems and processes into place, showing up every day, walking through the uncomfortable, and doing those things regardless is ultimately what makes the simple success just success.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're all about here on our team, and that's what we're all about on this podcast as well. And trying to help agents become better and help their businesses get better, but also help people grow. And that's what this is all about. So, well, Julie, I really appreciate you coming on our show today and dropping lots of nuggets and wisdom and insight from lots of years of experience. And you absolutely have added a lot of value to our group and our organization and my life personally. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. So,
well, thank you, Josh, for letting me come on, and you know how much you mean to me. 9 years with a real estate agent is a long time, unless you truly respect what they do and who they are as a human being, their family, and everything that they've worked for. And Josh, that's how I feel about you. So, and everything that we've built, and looking forward to seeing what we're going to build in the future.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great year for sure. All right. Well, any last words, Julie? Otherwise, we'll wrap up on the Better Agent podcast.
Make 2026 2025 the best year that we've ever had.
Here we go, making 2025 and beyond even better. So thanks again for coming on the show, Julie. And again, you're listening to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, and look forward to having you back on the next episode and hearing more from myself and other leaders within the real estate industry about how we can help you grow your real estate business. So I hope you guys are having a great day out there, wherever you are. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Better Agent Podcast. I hope you found today's insights valuable. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more tips, Q&A sessions, and sneak peeks into our 21-day challenge. To get full access of our show notes and more details on the 21-day challenge, go to abetterrealestateexperience.com. Keep striving for greatness, and I'll see you on the next episode.